What's up, guys? We are back with another Mythic Legions review, taking a look at a bit of an older figure today from the recent in-stock sale, and that would be one of the skeletons, Pixxus, which may or may not be named after up-and-coming YouTuber Pixel Dan. So we've got this guy here in our standard Mythic Legions packaging. You can see him there in the window, collector-friendly package, so take it out, put it back in, the whole 9 yards. You've got the Legions logo down there on the bottom, a bit of a write-up for this guy on the side, and then the back of the package has that original backer card artwork with the original lineup and the story of Mythos. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Pixxus figure. So this guy is, like I mentioned, he is an older figure, certainly not new by any means. He was in, what, wave 1.5, that smaller wave of Legions way back 3-ish years ago, probably at this point. But he was more recently released as an All-Stars figure, which is how I got a hold of him. So he's still sort of new to me. And, well, he is a gladiator type of skeleton warrior with a incredibly blue suit of armor. And yeah, that's pretty much all I need to say. You can probably close it now. I really like this figure. I love the skeletons to begin with, but the color choices on this guy are just amazing. And the relation to Pixel Dan notwithstanding, I'm not going to hold that against this figure by any means, of course. I really like this guy. So let's take a look and see how he moves around. He is a 1.0 skeleton type of figure, so if you've ever messed with any of these, you kind of know what to expect. So the head can look up a little bit, and he can look down a little bit. You've got rotation and then a little bit of bobble, so the head can go all the way around. The neck does swivel as well, but it doesn't exactly add anything to the figure. You've got arms that go all the way out. You've got rubbery pieces on the shoulders to help aid that movement, and they don't stop it. Rotation at the shoulder. You've got rotation and a single jointed elbow, so about 90 degrees, and then full rotation. You've got rotation at the forearm, rotation and lateral hinges at the wrist. You've got a ball peg at the waist that goes up into the torso, so he goes backwards a little bit, and then he goes forwards, tilt side to side a little, and then you've got rotation. Your legs go out pretty much all the way. Mine are a little stiff. Despite heat, they've been a little stiff, so I don't know, if you have this figure, maybe pay attention to that. You've got a kick forward pretty good, and then you've got kick backwards far more than you probably need. There is no cut at the thigh because, well, it's a bone, so you're not going to have one. You've got rotation at the knee as well as a single joint for hinge, and then you've got your standard rotation, rocker, and hinges down at the ankles. And the hinges go backwards pretty good, and they go forwards a little bit better just because of this piece here. It kind of gets in the way. Otherwise, though, I mean, he is kind of standard for the line. There's nothing too crazy. There's nothing extra, nothing really missing outside of the thigh cut on this figure, but that's pretty standard for just about all skeletons, right? So he does move pretty well, and, you know, it's not about articulation with these figures for me. For the most part, anyway. I say that a lot, but it always comes down to the looks, and this guy has the looks. So what it really comes down to on this figure is, I like skeletons in this line. They are really my thing. If I could just have more of those, that would be perfect. But even more so, it's the colors on this figure, and they just pop. Everything about this guy is like super saturated when it comes to the actual armor. Obviously, he does have some bones that are showing. So you've got bones for the arms, the upper arms, and then the forearms on both sides, and then you've got bones for the thighs. That's really it as far as what makes him a skeleton. The rest of him is obscured by what is essentially a lot of parts reuse, and that's nothing new, nothing crazy for the line, not a negative by any means. So it's just a configuration that we've seen previously with other figures. He just happens to have bones instead of flesh or other armor when it comes to his limbs. And I think it works. I mean, outside of maybe what's going on inside of his chest to keep this armor up, I do think he looks really cool. And it really does, again, come down to the colors. I like the skeletons, that's enough on its own, but to have this particular suit of armor done up in this color scheme with the gold piping and then the kind of navy blue inlay, it just works for me, and I think we've got a pretty exceptional looking figure here. It's all standard, you know, Horsemen kind of stuff when it comes to the sculpt. The sculpt is fantastic. We've seen all of these parts before. You know, I still don't really know what's going on when it comes to skeleton arms. Are these bolted on there? How are those connected? But it really doesn't matter either. I dig the belt on this guy. You know, that's kind of like the one that we see on, I always go back to Keltis when I see this this belt. I love this belt piece here, or at least that buckle rather. And then you've got some of the more traditional kind of knight style boots, some more traditional knight style gloves, gauntlets, and just the torso in general is one of the more traditional knight type of pieces, but it works really well on this figure. And I mean, I've said it a dozen times now, when it's done in this color scheme, it just stands out against a lot of other figures, a lot of other types of characters that are just like this or similar in the gladiator aspect. He definitely kind of shines like a beacon when you get him under some bright lights. It's everything for this figure for me. It comes back to the blue and the gold color scheme and just how it works, how it pops, how it contrasts against each other. And then to further that, you've got this amazing helmet, and this isn't unique to this figure either, but again, this color scheme is something a little bit different, and it's more of the same. So you've got that blue, that deep saturated blue to give off the actual base tones of the piece, and then it's all got that gold piping, the kind of filigree that's inlaid there, and I think it works so well. You've got the kind of void in the eyes, so you can't really see that it's a skeleton, unless of course you look and you can see the bones for the neck, but I do think it just looks really menacing and imposing. And then you've got the big comb that sits on top with the gold bracket there that holds it in place. So it's just a nice color scheme. Again, I think the already fantastic sculpt that I'm a big fan of on pretty much every other figure that has this is again just accentuated because I really like this paint scheme. I really like the metallic sheen of this blue, and it works really well with all of those gold accents. Now for accessories, this is probably the one area where if I'm going to say he falls short, it's got to be this, because he just has less than your average figure. It's not a huge thing, and it's certainly not anything that ruins this figure for me, but he does have less stuff than a lot of other figures. So to begin with, he does have an extra head, so you can swap out the helmet for a very nasty looking skull head, and this one does have the movable lower jaw, so you can articulate that to make it look like he's screaming or yelling or something, and it's sculpted fantastic. It's got tons of details, tons of cracks, paint all over it. It's nothing new. We've seen this thing before, but I do really like this as an extra head, so you can use this as an unhelmeted head since you can't really see anything on the helmeted head. It kind of looks like he's right now holding the helmet rather than just holding what would be the other head. What he doesn't have, though, is he doesn't come with any pauldrons. This guy is pauldronless, which is definitely an odd thing for this line. I don't think it's really a problem with this figure, so and that's why I don't think it bothers me too much, because I think he looks really good just fresh out of the box, but he doesn't come with them, so you don't get that option like you have with, well, every other Legions figure, basically. Beyond that, though, he has kind of a standard fare of stuff because he is an older style figure. So to start with, you have got one of the kind of runic shields. So this guy's just done up in gold with the runes on the inside, and then there's a little bit of wash in there to bring those out. It does have the newer style handle rather than the clip. You've got one of the long swords, which has a bronzy, copperish hilt, and then you've got a silver blade. So this is probably my favorite of the standard swords, so I do like the fact that he comes with this. What I view as his kind of standard weapon, though, just for some reason I think this is what he would be using, don't ask me why, is the spear. Again, something that we've seen a lot in this line, and you've got some of that coppery color for the actual staff itself, and then the tip of the spear has got silver on it to really bring it out. And then of course he does have the aforementioned strap that every Legions has, and then he also comes with these plastic banes of my existence, so we've got 1,000,001 of those now. So he does have a decent spread of accessories, but he still has, well, he still has a little bit less than average. So overall, this figure is honestly really fantastic. I have zero issues with this guy outside of maybe the slight pet peeve that he doesn't come with pauldrons. Does he need them? Not really, but I just love beefing these guys out with those pauldrons, so it's something that I kind of missed doing with this guy. Otherwise, though, he has an exceptional paint job, and that's really where it is for me. The colors on this guy are just amazing. I dig the skeletons to begin with. They are probably my favorite faction or race, if you will, when it comes to Legions. I absolutely love every skeleton figure that I have, and this guy is no exception. The colors just kind of ratchet him up a bit. He does come with a pretty standard assortment of weapons, but at the end of the day, he looks amazing paired up against some of the other more colorful skeletons, and he definitely stands out on the shelf just because of how vibrant and saturated that blue is. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legions Pixxus figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.